Hi, I'm Emily.
I'm Tony.
And I'm Emile.
And you're watching
Word of Mouth.
All we had was our appearance and our turn for pleasing men. Do you think we were such fools as to let other people trade in our good looks by employing us as shop girls or barmaids or waitresses when we could trade in them ourselves and get all the profits instead of starvation wages? Not likely.
You were certainly quite justified.
I saw Mrs. Warren's Profession by George Bernard Shaw.
Vivi is, I'm going to put her in her late 20s, young woman, Cambridge educated, very smart, kind of at a crossroads in her life, trying to figure out what she's going to do next as an educated woman.
Her mother has sent her to boarding school her entire life, and we find out that they only see each other every so often. She's been raised by these other people that her mom has paid money to raise her daughter.
Mrs. Warren is, I don't know, what would you call her now, an escort, a paid lady of the evening, and from then she's built it into a big business, and she now runs these hotels all over the world, Italy, Brussels, and she manages other ladies of the evening.
Vivi's been living off of the money of her mother and has no idea that she has made it by owning these brothels. So the show is kind of about how she comes to terms with finding out from her mother that this is what her mother's profession is.
Sherry Jones plays Kitty Warren, and she was just amazing in the role. She was fantastic. I've never seen her on Broadway before, but I loved watching her, just loved watching her.
Sherry Jones is phenomenal. Anytime she was off the stage, I was thinking, when is she going to come back? When is she going to come back? And when she finally came back on stage, I would lean in my chair to watch her, and you can't miss her. She really is, I think, the best part of the show.
She definitely lived up to her reputation, to her name, and her presence was very commanding when she was out there. And the costumers definitely dressed her appropriately, so she definitely stood out and captured the eccentricity of her character.
Sally Hawkins played Vivi, and she was, she was so strong.
She was excellent, especially in the first half of the show. And then kind of in the second act, she kind of arcs a little bit too early. I don't know, she just kind of was very dramatic and a lot of yelling and but overall she was very good.
I wasn't a fan of her in the first act. I felt she was very stiff, and I felt like she was kind of making interesting choices with the character. She was very kind of blunt with a lot of the characters and kind of like snappy with a lot of people. Once we hit the second act and the show started picking up, the conflict started picking up, and my engagement started picking up, she really came alive.
Edward Hibbert played Mr. Praed. He was excellent. You could tell that he is a very good comic actor, so he really, with those parts of the show, he really kind of, came into his own. But even with the dramatic parts, he was very appropriate, and he really kind of was the highlight of the show for me.
Frank Gardner, played by Adam Driver, by the end of the show, I hated him, not the actor, the character. I hated him more than anyone on that stage, and I think that's because I feel like he did a good job of playing the character that you love to hate.
Whenever you walk away doing exactly what the play wants you to do, which is to not be endearing to a character, then of course Adam would have done his job very well. Overall,
the show, I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was great.
I enjoyed it. I left on a high note. It's not the most energetic show, but it's kind of a thinking show. So yeah, I enjoyed it very much. I did like it.
It was a story worth being retold in the way that they've decided to do it. And it was totally well worth watching.
I think my problem with the play is the opening. Not the whole first act, but most of the first act, it's a lot of just letting you know who these characters are, and it's a lot of talking. The language feels old-fashioned. The story, however, once we get to the mom and daughter, does not feel old-fashioned to me.
One reason I love Mrs. Warren's Profession is the dynamic between mother and daughter, and how you can fracture a relationship no matter what your best intentions are.
I would recommend it to seasoned theater goers, not necessarily someone who's coming to Broadway, once a year to see a show. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to them. But a seasoned theater goer who enjoys period pieces, especially George Bernard Shaw.
I would definitely recommend that they see it, definitely.
If you want to see a really good actress who really knows her craft, see the show to see Cherry Jones.
We're mother and daughter! I want my daughter! I've a right to you! Always to care for me when I'm old. Plenty of girls have taken to me like daughters and cried at leaving me, but I let them all go because I had you to look forward to. I kept myself lonely for you.